my name is Julia and I knit a lot. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I actually don't want to talk about knitting, I want to talk about frogging. I want to, for those who are not familiar with the expression, to frog something in terms of knitting or crochet simply means to rip it out. So I have here gathered a bunch of projects that I want to frog, and yeah, they have been sitting around for a while, a long while, some of them, and I want to rip them out. And I thought, let's do that together. Maybe, you know, you can follow me along while I frog these these projects, and maybe we can do some frog and chat, or we will see. And maybe you also feel inspired to gather something somewhere in a corner of your apartment or your room or your house that has been lingering for a long while, that now would be a good time to rip it out. For me, right, first, look at this mess. I'm currently knitting away on my ocean blanket, is how I call it. It's just a Garter blanket with a bunch of blue and teal and green yarns. And my main yarn, I'm marling two yarns together. And one yarn that I'm holding throughout is Alpaca Socks by Lang. Do I have? This is the label. And so it's an alpaca yarn, and it's just keeps falling apart and it's driving me crazy. So while I talk to you about frogging, let's clean this up. Gives me something to do with my hands. Okay, so what? So I have noticed about myself that you know, there is spring cleaning, where you kind of declutter and clean and organize your home in spring, but I actually also have this kind of urge to organize my home in the fall. I find that quite interesting. It's almost like this kind of instinct to organize your home before winter comes, so you kind of want to feel prepared. So I have been going through my stash a bit lately, and to be honest, it is really messy right now, because I have pulled up a lot of yarn that is just arranged in rainbow colors, and it's quite messy in there. So that's also why I'm filming here and not in my usual spot. And so I have been thinking, let's organize this space a bit. And anyway, I like to go through my yarn every once in a while, just because it makes me happy, and also because I want to keep track of it, and just it gives me inspiration sometimes, but also I think just being aware of what you have is also important. And I have talked previously about how I want to use more yarn that I'm buying in 2025, and I'm not sure yet how well that is going, because I'm doing a lot of large scrappy projects like this blanket. So and I haven't subtracted all these yarns that I've used for this blanket from the total stash amount yet. So that's why I'm not really sure how much yarn I have actually used so far. But I know that in August I have actually bought a lot of yarn. Yeah. And every time I buy yarn, not every time, but most of the time I buy yarn, I actually have a very specific plan in my head, but I like to change my mind. So I often buy yarn with a specific plan, and then I change my mind, and then it's just sitting there. And that happened with a bunch of alpaca yarn from Drops Alpaca in grey that I bought with the intention of holding it together with another yarn in my stash so that I could kind of use what I have. And so I wanted to supplement what I had by buying this yarn. I could hold those two together, and I wanted to make the port jacket by Ozeda. And I did a swatch, and I just wasn't happy. And I even started the yoke, and I wasn't happy with the stiffness. I was getting gauge, but it was hurting my hands because the other yarn was a cotton cashmere blend, and the cotton at that gauge was just not pleasant to work with, I think. So I did buy that yarn with very good intentions of using it right away, and then it didn't work out, and now it's sitting there. And then I was, set on making this port jacket, and I actually am currently working on the port jacket. So I really wanted to make that, and I had a vision in my head how it should look, and I wanted to make it for the fall, for when I bring my son to kindergarten in the morning, or when we go for a walk. So I wanted to get started right away. Of course, it's not done yet, and it's already fall, so yeah. It will get done eventually. But I had to buy more yarn because I had this idea in my head, and I wanted to, make that exact thing. So I bought even more yarn, and so on. And that's how pretty much all my August went. I also got sucked into the mystery knit along hype and bought a mystery kit. That's actually the first time I ever bought a mystery kit from Stephen and Penelope. And maybe I can show you the yarn next time. This is actually not an acquisitions video, so let's stop talking about that. But I, in the context of ripping out old projects, I was putting away this yarn, and it just reminded me that there is a lot of things that I already have that I want to use, so I want to be a little bit more strict with myself for the rest of the year and really try to use more of what I have, because I do have a lot of great yarn. And my yarn stash is not enormous by any means, but it is outgrowing the space that I have for it. So, and also I don't like having beautiful yarn just sit in my stash for years. That's just not, I don't want to have that. So, So, in the spirit of organizing and decluttering in general, frogging old projects is also in a way decluttering for me. And then putting it back into stash is like organizing. So yeah, let's do that. And maybe you can also think about your own, if you have any, your own old lingering projects that you might want to frog. Or you just can sit there and look at what I'm doing. So I have started knitting. I have finished winding up this mess of a yarn ball, and I'm now knitting away on my beautiful blanket. I need to add the next color. This one has almost run out. So let's have a look. Let's put this away. I have arranged here a bunch of stuff that I want to frog, and actually it's not that much, so yeah, it will be fine. Let's start with this one, because this is the reason why I want to film this video. This is the newest of all of these projects that will be frogging. This is the newest. So this is the Jigshawl. Every time I'm struggling with the name of this pattern. Jigshawl puzzle. I talked about this design in my last video, where I was talking about the West Knits shawls that I have made, and I have said that I really want to cast it on, and I did, because once I have this kind of idea in my head, I just need to get it out of my system. And then once it's cast on, and I kind of, after I finish the first two sections, I could happily return to my older whips and keep working on those. But I had to get it out of my head. So I did that, and I'm really liking it so far. Except for the fact that I'm not really happy with the colors that I chose for this section. So this is section 1, the blue one, and this is section 2, and in the end it will be a huge triangular shawl, all with these triangular and geometric shapes, and it's all in garter stitch. And you're holding 2 strands throughout. So it's great for using up smaller amounts of yarn, and I think this is great for using stash. That's also the reason why there's currently so much yarn floating around my craft space, because I took out all my yarn that I feel inspired to put into this shawl, and now it's just sitting there and waiting for me to use it. Yeah, I said in the last video I want to make a very colorful shawl, and I still want to do that, but I'm not super happy with the color that I chose here. So let's rip it out while I talk about it. I think this will be a short thing. I have this little basket of small amounts of yarn that I am putting into this shawl, among others, and those are actually already partially frogged from another project that's waiting to be definitely frogged. I already started frogging it because I wanted to reclaim the yarn, but I haven't finished doing that yet. So I have this very clear white in my yarn basket, and I thought, this is too stark. So I decided against it, and I intentionally chose a warmer kind of beigey white, a cream, in order to avoid this very stark contrast. And now I'm not happy with it. I should have gone with my first idea. And I'm thinking, I have some more in here. I'm thinking I might combine it with this. This is Life in the Long Grass Agate Stone. Oh, this is my Fantastic, and it's actually in this shawl, this one, this color here. So I still have some left over, and I want to put it in this shawl, and I thought I might, yeah, it's messy again. I might combine these two to make it a little bit softer, to avoid this very strong white contrast. And you know, since it's a marled shawl, you will have to combine 2 strands anyway. So I think this might be nice. Does it focus? Probably not. Yeah, I'm thinking I might put these two together, or put it together with a fluff. And this fluff is a little bit more creamy than this, so it might soften it a little bit. But I don't want to add fluff to each section. This is actually this exact combination. But I don't want to have fluff in each section, so I'm kind of trying to not put fluff into this one. And I have already an idea for the next section. Here will on this side of the red triangle, the fourth section, number 4, will be attached, and I want to use this lilac color. I initially bought, this is an alpaca yarn, and I initially bought it to knit something for my niece, a little hat, and she looks so cute in this lilac hat. I'm not sure if it still fits her. My sister can tell me. I know she watches my videos. And I want to put this color here. And that's also one of the reasons why I've decided to frog this section, because I'm not liking this combo. They will be next to each other, and I'm not liking the combo of this and this. Okay, so a lot of talking, no frogging done yet. So yeah. I have, you know, used smaller amounts for some of the yarn. I think I will have to split it. I don't think I can frog it together as one ball. What should I do? Okay. Let's try. Let's try splitting this up. Okay, I will get this done, and then once I'm done frogging this thing, we will meet again. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so I frogged the thing. I got it back a bunch of little balls. The first part I couldn't be bothered to split the different strands because no, it was just I didn't feel like doing that. So I just broke, you know, one strand was 2 smaller sections and the other strand went throughout, and I just broke the other one and just did 2 separate balls. Whatever. What I forgot, you know, when I frogged this, I remembered that in this section you pick up stitches from this edge. What I did forget, however, is that these stitches are live stitches. And I just realized that I have live stitches floating around without anything holding them. So let's put a needle on there. And let's hope that I didn't drop any stitches. And this might be a little bit tricky actually. I think ideally it would be easier to, well, ideally you don't get into this kind of situation, of course. But once you are in there, it would probably be easier to use a small needle, like a smaller needle, to pick them up. But I'm just using the needle that I had previously ripped out, and I think it's fine. I think it's worked out well. I remember that it should be 25 stitches, so let's count. Yes. Okay, so this one I really want to continue working on because I'm really liking the rhythm of the garter stitch, and I like the fact that it's, all these small sections, so you can say, okay, let's knit one section and then we can go back to a bigger project that is maybe a little bit more needed in my wardrobe than another shawl. So you kind of get these small bits of dopamine knitting. You can try out different colors, and you can just have these small sections, and then you can go back to something else. You can play around with your stash, and that is really satisfying. So yeah, I'm looking forward to picking this up again. Okay, that's one project frogged. Well, not really. I mean, it's just one section frogged. Let's see, what do we have? This stuff here. Oh, this is attached. No. Today is like yarn mess all over. So this I also need to wind. This is the stuff that I frogged, and I need to clean this up. This is belongs to a different project. This is the one that I talked about that was partially already frogged. So you can see this is the start of a very broad and long garter blanket that I have started last winter, and it was towards the end of winter. I always get a bit sad. I don't know if sad is the right word, but winter really gets to me toward the end. So February is usually a little bit hard for me, and I really crave color. So I think it's noticeable here that I was really craving spring colors. And I maybe I can insert a picture here of the thing, how it looked, how they got the blanket, how it looked before I decided to frog it. So I knit on this a lot last spring, but I started to not like it. I mean, I liked it when I was looking at the colors up close. There were many more colors in this. But then once I got to a point where it was big enough to kind of look at it from afar and to see the color effects play out in a bigger perspective, I didn't really like the effect, and it sat in my stash for maybe 6 months, not quite. And I didn't really know what to do with it. Until I decided, I don't know, maybe a month ago, that I want to frog it. Doesn't bring me any joy. And I did measure it. It was already 50 centimeters of this garter blanket, and the width was, I think, 250 stitches. So this is a lot of knitting that I already frogged. And as you can see, these are a lot of small bits of yarn that I'm frogging here. I was always holding 2 strands together, and this is really time consuming to frog. So that's those white and cream yarns that you just saw, they were in this blanket, and I'm now repurposing some of the yarn. and I will put it into the Jigshawl puzzle. A ball of yarn rolled away as usual. This was also in this blanket. All of these were in the blanket, and I have a separate kind of like small box like this with all the reddish, corally, darker pink kind of yarns. So yeah, there's a lot of small amounts that I can now use for scrappy projects, and I don't know, it's a little bit sad because I cut up a lot of intact balls for this, and now I end up with a lot of tiny balls. But it just didn't make me happy, and I didn't want to work on it, and then later on I started this big blue ocean blanket, how I call it, like this bluish garter blanket. So yeah, I thought there's no point in knitting on 2 garter blankets, and one of them you don't really like. So okay, but for this I think it will take a little bit longer. So maybe you can follow along. I will record a little bit while I frog, and I think most of the time I will not undo the 2 strands. And this, you can see, is some kind of fluff. I think this is a leftover suri. This is really sticky, you know. I don't think I will be separating the 2 strands. I'm just, you know, frogging them like this, and then the ball will get thrown into there, and maybe I think this would be a good combo for my shawl. It has a very, very, very light pink to it. Okay, this is probably the biggest one of all the frogging endeavors. So look, this is some of the sections that are a little bit tricky. So, you know, in order to have a very melted color effect, when I mold, I always mold only one color at a time. And so one strand, you know, there's a color change, and the other one keeps going. And what do I do now? I don't want to separate these. So I think I will just do the lazy thing, and yeah, that has to be good enough. I don't have the mental energy or time to do it perfect. Oh, and another thing, I know that this is like crinkly and not ideal, but I'm not steaming all these tiny yarn scraps. I'm not doing that. I think it might. This hasn't really, you know, been washed or worn or anything, so it's not as bad as other projects that There's one project, this one, that is also partially frogged already, where I think I will have to steam it a little bit because the yarn has been sitting in that form for quite a while. But for this one, yeah, it will probably, much of it, I don't think all of it, but some of it will be added to the shawl, and that is also garter stitch, and I think it will be fine. Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going, and I will see you in a bit. I'm back again. It's the next day, and it's Saturday morning, and my family is home, so let's get going quickly because I don't know how long I can film without getting interrupted. Also, I'm sitting next to a window and the sun has started to come in directly, at me. So I decided to close the curtain, and now the lighting is a little bit different, but I think it will be fine. So I have finished frogging the blanket, and the very last part of it was actually a bit dusty. So I think that's another good reason to occasionally go through your old whips and kind of check on them, and maybe also frog some older stuff that has been sitting around for a while and you're collecting dust. I kept it in a bag, so I don't know how it got so dusty, to be honest. I thought I had frogged and wound all the bits from the blanket, but I found this little piece of yarn, so I'm going to do that. And then while I was frogging the blanket, I realized to kind of really finish this blanket, organizing and putting back all the stuff, and to kind of really get it out of my brain, I actually also should probably go back to the bag where I kept the blanket and also put away all the partial balls of yarn that are still sitting in that bag, and all the labels that are also still in there. So it's a little bit messy. I kept it in like this is nothing special. I'm not even sure. I think this is a video game. My husband works with the video game and tech industry, and he often gets this kind of merchandise. So we always have this kind of video game merchandise stuff flying around our house. So can I show this? Yeah. So let's clean this up. So there are more partial skeins of yarn floating around, and oh no, and a lot of labels, and so I think I need to take some time to figure out which label belongs to which yarn. I think most of it, I'm often surprised how well I remember these kind of things, even if it's like even if it's been sitting there for a couple of months, I still remember the yarn and the colorways and things like that. I'm often surprised about that. But there's a lot of stuff sitting in this bag, and I think I need to clean this out. I need to tidy it up and put it back. Oh, a lot of fluff, because there's this fluffy white yarn, and now there's white fluff all over my black hoodie. So yeah, that's what I think I will do that later on. It will probably take a little bit of figuring out all the labels, and maybe I will throw away some of the labels. And put these small yarn nuggets back into. This one is quite nice. I think I could use this for my. What do you think? I think this would look nice in this. Ooh. I might just change my mind about the color placement in this. So I have restarted this third section, I'm much happier with my colors now, and I had planned, as I have said before, to put this lilac color here for the 4th section, kind of. But now that I have this on my hands, I'm thinking this might look really nice. This yarn really glows on camera. I kind of like the purple and the dark burgundy. I might do that. Oh, wait, it actually goes here. And then it grows, it will be a long shape, and this shape, they will kind of meet. So it's still kind of relevant if you like the combo of these two next to each other. So yeah, let's put this in this basket. And yeah, I will take some time later on to, it's mainly labels. I've already taken out most of the yarn, but there's a lot of labels. Okay, I will clean that out later. Then let's talk about the next thing that I also want to frog. This is the start of a sweater, a fingering weight sweater in broken rib that I had started last summer, so summer of 2024. I wanted to take this with me on our vacation to Italy. It was so hot. I mean, we went there in July, and I know Italy is hot in July, but you know, we had to go during school vacation. We have to go when we have time to take vacation, and it was so hot. I knit all of this on vacation there, I think, but I mostly knit on a Sailor Swift top in a cotton viscose blend. And I don't think I have continued working on this since I got home. So the pattern is the Chione, Chione, by Andrea Gaughan. And so I'm liking the broken rib look. But since last summer, I have started another broken rib sweater pattern. I have talked about it in the very first video on my channel. And I started the Friday tee by Petite Knit, and I want to make it long sleeved, and I want to use a faded advent calendar set. So I don't think I need 2 broken rib fingering weight sweater projects on my needles, and this has been lingering for over a year, and I think that's enough evidence, I think, to kind of rip this out and go with the other one. Also, so this is still on stoppers. I need to attach a needle so I can actually frog the thing. Can I find one of these little metal thingies that, these ones? This was knit on 3mm needles. When I took off the needles, I used them for something else. I placed a little, post-it note so that I remember which needle was attached to this. And my other broken rib sweater project, as I've said, is a petite knit pattern. And I know many people kind of complain about the fact that everyone is knitting petite knit and everybody's knitting the same thing. So I do sometimes try to knit other designers, of course, and I think it's good to support different designers. But I keep coming back to petite knit because I like her writing style, I like her her visual style. I think the kind of designs that she makes just appeal to my sorry, I'm distracted by this. What is going on here? So her style just speaks to me, so I think that's why I keep coming back to her designs. And also, so I did try that. What am I doing? I think it's, let's just scroll with it. I tried the Andrea Gaughan design, and it wasn't really working for me. And I don't know what it was. Maybe just the way that she explains things just didn't really click with my brain, with the way that I process information. And yeah, I learned knitting with free patterns from the Drops website. So I'm actually used to these very sparse Nordic patterns. And in hindsight, whenever I go back to the Drops website and look at those patterns, I sometimes use them if I make like accessories for kids or hats. I know there's a lot of information that could be added to those patterns, so I don't think they're like ideal for beginners, by no means, but that's how I learned. I mean, that was like 13 years ago. So I didn't really know about Ravelry yet, and I think the whole knitting community wasn't as, I didn't know about many of these designers. I didn't know about knitting videos on YouTube and things like that. I'm not even sure if that already was such a big thing back then. So all this to say, I don't really enjoy overly wordy patterns. And I think the pattern by Andrea Gaughan, it was a little bit too wordy for me. If you are like a beginner and it's the very first time that you're knitting a raglan, maybe, it's helpful. But for me, it was just a little bit too wordy. So I think that's also a matter of personal preference. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy knitting it, and I do enjoy the look of it, I have to say. I do enjoy the look of the broken rib. And I do enjoy the color, but I'm not sure if so as I've said, I have already another broken rib fingering weight sweater on my needles, which is also lingering. So that's something that I want to tackle in the upcoming months. But I don't think there's a need for two of those. And the yarn, I'm not sure if I want to actually do another fingering weight project with that yarn, or maybe I will hold it with something. So the yarn I can show you, I have a full skein here, is the Fiber Fox. I have 4 skeins of this, and the colorway is called Cotinus. And it's a superwash merino, 75% and 25% nylon. And I bought this was part of the needle, just. This was part of one of the advent calendars that she did, and that actually the exact advent calendar, no, it was 1 year earlier. This colorway was part of the Golden Hour advent calendar that she did in 2023. And then she did this kind of pre-order thing afterwards, where she released most of the colors separately, and you could pre-order them, and she would dye them to order. And I ordered 4 skeins of this yarn in this sock base and 4 skeins in a very nice DK weight alpaca. I think it's an alpaca merino cashmere blend. It's really fancy and it's super drapey, and I also haven't used it yet. So I do like the yarn. I do love the look of the yarn, but in hindsight, maybe it wasn't necessary to buy it. I didn't buy it with a plan, and I think that's the problem. So yeah, but I do love the look of it. But the problem with these kind of pre-order yarns that are only available for a limited time, you kind of get like the fear of missing out. So you kind of feel like you have to order it right now and then it will not be available again. And so sometimes you buy things that you don't necessarily need. And that's okay if you have the possibility to do that, you know, the financial means and the space to do that. And yeah, I just don't, I can do that, but I just don't enjoy having too much stuff. I like to use what I have. Okay, so still working on it. Yeah. So what I was thinking, maybe this would be really nice held together with, I don't know, a suri or something, and maybe I could make a nice cardigan. I do enjoy the color. I'm not sure if it's suits. Yeah, I think it's okay on me. So we will see what I make with it. Okay, so let's frog this one. Let's put away all the tiny yarn balls and labels that are still sitting in the tote bag, and then I will return with the next frogging endeavor. See you later. Hi, it's me again. It's the same day. It's still Saturday in the afternoon now. I have some time alone in the house, so I'm recording. And this is the third time already that I'm recording this. So the first time around, I noticed that, you know, today I'm actually wearing my glasses, and I noticed that the reflection from the window is actually quite... Please let me know, do you think this bothers you? Because I usually wear glasses. I don't put in my contact lenses every day, so it will be useful to know if I need to take off my glasses for recording or not. So I decided, okay, let's take them off. You can record like this. And also then I realized I'm actually not wearing any makeup, and yeah, let's keep it real. So this is what I look like on most days. So that's what it is. We need more authentic. We need more authenticity on the internet. So this is what I look like most of the time. And then the second time around, when I started recording, I realized that my computer, and actually my home office space, is making a lot of noise. So I had to record again. Third time's the charm. Let's do this. So this is the next project that I want to frog. I think this should be a quick one. This is the start of a scarf that I had planned. I wanted to make a very long scarf in this drops air. I originally bought 6 or 7 balls of this, and I actually very quickly stopped working on it, and it just was sitting there, and I started using the yarn for something else, and I still have maybe 2 or 3 balls of it in my stash. And yeah, I don't know why I haven't ripped this out yet. I think one of the reasons might be this pattern, this texture, I think looks really nice. So I kind of maybe kept it as a swatch almost, as an idea or as a reminder to myself that I want to use this type of textured pattern one day. Somebody in my family, I think, I don't remember who it was, once told me that our grandma used to knit in this textured pattern a lot. So it is 2 rows of knit 1, purl 1, and then 2 rows of knit 1, purl 1, but offset, and then 2 rows of garter. And yeah, I think that's why I kept it. I'm not even sure how old this is. This is really old. This is like maybe 7 or 8 years old, I think. Yeah, let's just say it's 7 years old. So, and it's on straight needles. Let's just rip it out so I can, talk while I frog this. This actually, it's a little bit difficult, I don't know. But maybe because it's been I have had it for so long, it's kind of sentimental for a weird reason. So let's just pull it out. I know I will never make this scarf. Let's just frog it. And we will see how well drops air, this kind of fluffy yarn, how well it frogs. So I had this on straight needles. I never knit with straight needles anymore. I think this is the only pair of straight needles that I kept from my early days of knitting. And it's because, these are 5mm, by the way. It's because they were a gift. So when I learned knitting as a child, but I didn't enjoy it because I learned it at school, and my teacher back then made me sit on her lap to show me how to knit, and I felt really uncomfortable, so I didn't enjoy knitting at all. And this is not so easy to frog. When I was a bit older, like 22, 21, so I went to China in 2010, 2011, and when I came back in the summer of 2011, I kind of felt the desire to learn to knit again. And I remember that my dad, he actually knit some sweaters for us when I was a kid, and it was his mom who often used this type of patterning. So it does have some kind of sentimental attachment, probably. And I remember that he used to knit for me when I was a kid. He would make sweaters for me and my sister, for example. And so I asked him if he would teach me. And that year, on Christmas, we went to the cabin. They have a cabin, he and my stepmom, and it belongs to all of us. So we went there on Christmas, and at that time we still all went there, like all of the siblings, and our parents were there. We didn't have children yet, so there was enough space for everybody. And I remember that time on Christmas, they gifted me yarn and they gifted me those needles. And then over Christmas, he and my stepmom, they taught me how to knit. So that's how I learned. And so I will keep these straight needles, although I never really use straight needles anymore. Simply because, first of all, I think they're beautiful, and they have sentimental value. And I think maybe I should write down the pattern that I used in this start for a scarf, so I can reuse it later on. I can write it down in a notebook or something. Okay, so this is a little bit trickier than anticipated, so I will keep going, and maybe you also have something to frog or to work on, and we will meet again in a little bit. I don't think it will be too long. So frogging this is not as easy as I thought. So you can see the needle is ripped out, and those stitches are not moving at all. They're really sticking together. It's almost like it felted together a little bit. Like it didn't really felt, but because it's such a fuzzy yarn, it's really, and it's been sitting there for so long, it's kind of annoying to frog it. I mean, I could if I really wanted, but I'm just thinking maybe I will just keep it like this and keep it somewhere in a notebook as a reference, almost like a swatch, and as an inspiration, because that's what I originally, that is the main reason why I still have this, because I wanted to have a reminder of this pattern. So I think I will just leave it like this, put it in a notebook or somewhere, and leave it like that, and use it as an inspiration that I can return to later on, maybe. Or maybe in a year or so I will do another video like this, and I will come across this again, and I will maybe say, okay, now it's time to go. This has to go. Who knows? But for now, I think I will just keep it like this. And this is the frogged yarn. Like, not all of it. This section that is wrapped around. Okay, so let's put this aside. So we still have one project left. This is inside out, I realize. So this is partially frogged already. This used to be a sweater that I made for my daughter. It used to be a complete sweater. It's not anymore, obviously. And maybe I will show you briefly what it looks like before I start frogging and talking to you about this project. It looks really good on camera. It doesn't fit my kids anymore. So this is a more or less self-drafted sweater. I think I used a free drops pattern for the numbers, and then I used the bubble stitch from Stephen West and kind of inserted it into this sweater, and I just improvised, and it kind of shows. So now, because I already frogged so much, it's not really that clear anymore, but it is a circular yoke, and it is much too wide around the shoulders, and I initially made this for my daughter, and she looked like it was obvious that it was kind of too big for her around the yoke. And when my son wore it, he's younger than her, when he wore it, it actually looked quite okay on him. I think maybe he's a little bit broader around the shoulder than she is. Yeah, so I will start frogging as I talk. I think the reason why I stopped frogging, first of all, it's a bit annoying because of the bubble stitch. You knit 4 rows below, I think, every 4th round, or 6 rows below every 6th round, something like that, to create these bubbles. And it's a bit annoying to frog. So why am I even frogging this? So I'm now at I started at the bottom with the frogging, and I am now at the underarm section, and that's where I kind of attached a new ball of yarn, and where I woven in ends and things like that. So it's kind of annoying to figure out. Can you see, like, it's, I'm not really sure, should I really do this? I'm kind of not really motivated to frog this. A part of me just wants to toss it. The reason why I'm frogging this is, well, it doesn't fit my kids anymore, but you can always gift it to somebody else. And I do have a niece, and I could have given this to my niece. Two reasons. First of all, I don't think my sister really loves these colors. I don't know. Maybe she would have. So the other reason, I have to tell the other reason first. My son wore this quite a bit. My daughter didn't wear this as much, but my son did. And he wore it to childcare one day, and they were playing maybe outside or on the playground, and he ripped the bottom ribbing of the sweater. He ripped a hole in there, and it was like a couple of rows were broken. And I could have fixed it if I knew that it would still fit him for a while, but he was already almost outgrowing the sweater, so I knew that he wouldn't fit into it anymore for much longer. And I kind of thought, well, it would be a lot of effort to frog the ribbing and then reknit the ribbing and all of that. And I thought, it doesn't really fit my kids anymore. I could give this to my sister for her daughter, but I don't think it's really her style. So I just started frogging, because it was ripped at the bottom, and it was just lying around in the house. It was, sitting on the stairs for a while, and it was just driving me crazy. And I thought, you either frog this now or you start fixing it. And so I started frogging, and then when I reached the underarms, I gave up, and now I'm here, and I'm frustrated. And should I just so this was not the most elegant solution to this problem. Another thing, I think this yarn actually probably would benefit from steaming, because it has been worn, it has been sitting in this shape, in this sweater, for a couple of years, and it has been worn and it has been washed, so it is kind of very, very crinkly, and it would probably be a good idea to steam it. But first I need to figure out how to get rid of these woven in ends at the underarms so that I can start actually frogging. Do I have scissors anywhere? Okay, I need to figure this out. Oh, I can't. Oh. Or I can just, Should I really frog this? I'm not even sure if I want to yarn that badly. I feel like a bad person if I just throw this away, to be honest. So that's the reason why I kept this for last. Because I knew that this would be the most annoying one. How did I already frog so much of this sweater? Because this is driving me insane. Another thing, I realized that probably, here, because it's a circular yoke, all these rows that I have already frogged, all this is still attached here in the sleeve. So I actually have to start with the sleeves. This was a stupid idea. And I don't even really need or want the yarn. I just should have fixed it and donated it or given to somebody. And it also actually looks quite nice, you know. My stitches were quite even and it looked okay. But now I'm already at this point. There's like no going back. You either throw it out or you stick with it and frog it. So I got a pair of scissors. I am not unpicking this. I'm just cutting because that's the mood I'm in right now. I'm not unpicking this bind off, right? I'm just cutting into it. I have never frogged a sweater, so I actually don't know how to do this. Let's just cut. I'm just cutting off the bind off. Okay, that's just. This is. I thought this would be a cozy vlog, and now it's getting more like Halloween, spooky. It will be fine. We will figure it out. Sometimes knitting can be frustrating. Not only knitting, other things too. So, Also, I'm not sure if I should ball up this yarn because I think it would be a good idea to steam it. This is really crinkly. Now, the other yarns weren't living in this kind of project state for as long as this one. I made this sweater maybe 4 years ago or even longer. It's okay. So now with the sleeve it's better. We are getting there, and now I have reached the other color, so I have to unpick this color. It's getting tricky again. This is real life. Knitting is not a cozy craft. Knitting is very frustrating and unwinding. So let's keep going, and I will see you again in a little while, hopefully, with this thing. Okay. See you. Hi, I'm back. So it's been a couple of days since my frustrated scissor attack on my bubble sweater. And I have to admit that I put it aside for 2 or 3 days. I was procrastinating on frogging that sweater, but now I'm done. So let me show you the result. It looks really nice, like this. I still think maybe I should have fixed the ribbing instead of frogging all the sweater. But now, here I am with all this yarn that I actually have to add back into my stash notebook. The other yarn that I frogged from the other projects, I actually don't have to add back because I haven't subtracted it because those projects weren't finished. I only add the yarn that I use to my list after I finish a project. So, but this one, I mean this sweater, I knit this sweater years before I started this notebook. I started this last Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's Eve, when I had some time. I wrote down all the yarn that I own, and I have a running list of the yarn that I use and the yarn that comes in. So this is Lana Grossa. This looks really bright on screen. It's actually more of a pumpkin orange. Lana Grossa, I think the Cool Wool base. It's just a very standard superwash yarn that I used for a sweater that I made for my kids, and I think it held up quite well, considering that my kids wore it and that I've washed it several times. So yeah, and now I don't know what I will make with it. Maybe hats. I think I will add some of this yarn into my blue garter blanket. I actually already did that for some of it, some smaller bits I already added into that blanket. So I will continue to do that, but I don't think I will need this much navy in that blanket. And this bright orange, again, not as bright on screen, in real life as on screen. I'm thinking I might add into my Jigshawl puzzle, which was the first project, where I frogged the section. So in the meantime, I had already continued to work on it, and I think I will add a section in this color too. And this yarn, I don't know yet. We will see. So I think that's about it. Oh, I also wanted to show you very briefly my steamer thingy. I used that to steam the yarn that I frogged from the bubble sweater, because that yarn was really, really, really crinkly. So I know you can, ideally you would kind of steam it over a pot of boiling water or something like that, but I had so many small balls of yarn and I really didn't have the energy or the time to do that, and this is kind of the lazy way. So I spread out all the yarn bits that I had on the sofa, and today I spent several hours frogging yarn, steaming yarn, winding yarn, and yeah, so I spread it out on the sofa and I steamed it, and it was very noticeable that the yarn relaxed immediately. There are still some crinkles in the yarn, it's not perfect, but it's much better than before, and I think it's good enough. If you look at it, I think it doesn't look that bad. I think it looks okay. You can see there are a little bit of, but before it was really like ramen noodles, the hard types where you kind of, before you pour boiling water over them, when they're like really crinkly, and now it's much better. It's like ramen noodles after you put on the boiling water. Okay, so I think that's about it. So how many projects did I rip out? I think 5. The blue scarf I didn't rip out completely, but I think I still count it as ripped out. So I think it was quite successful. The one that was the biggest relief, I think, for me was the blanket, because I had it sitting there for a while now, and it just really bothered me. So it was a relief to my kind of make the decision and then follow through with the decision. And now I have all this yarn back, and I can play around with it, and I will use some of it in my scarf, in my shawl, in my Jigshawl puzzle. And I think, yeah, it's kind of a relief to have that out of my head. And the bubble sweater as well. It was just lingering and sitting around and just cluttering up my space, and every time I saw it I kind of felt annoyed because I knew I have to deal with it at some point, and now it's just gone. So yeah. Let me know if you feel inspired to now also revisit some of your lingering projects, or maybe rip out an old project that you haven't touched in years, or maybe a ripped sweater. You can also fix it. You don't have to frog it. Maybe you can fix it. That's also an option. Yeah, let me know if you felt inspired to also go over some of your whips and maybe reclaim the yarn and use it for something else. And then we can get that out of our brain, and we have more space in our heads for all the fall knitting that we probably want to do. And pretty soon, gift knitting will start. So it's always good to have some extra space in our heads for the Christmas season. I have members in my family that have their birthdays in fall. So usually, for me, gift knitting starts a little bit earlier than Christmas, and by the time Christmas comes around, I'm already kind of tired. But all the gifts that I make with love, and they come from the heart. So I never feel pressured or anything. So everything is good. All right, I hope you enjoyed this a little bit more relaxed style of filming, and I hope to see you soon. I hope you are well, and happy knitting. Bye!